Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going through a series of video presentations for the Rankin Technical College AWD Application and Web Development 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class. The main textbook for the class is ASP.NET MVC with Entity Framework and CSS by Lee Naylor. Before we go over that book, we're going to be going over Professional ASP.NET MVC5 by John Galloway. Not the entire book, but a majority of it. That book relies heavily on this 10-part presentation on the MvcMusicStore music store. I'm in the middle of part 8 here of 10, and I'm trying to upgrade it, update it into the world of MVC5. So we are on page 10 of 24, and now we're going to talk about view models. And as it says, the shopping cart controller will need to communicate complex logic to the view, which doesn't map cleanly to our model objects. Remember, in an ideal world, the views will never communicate directly with models. That's one of the things the controller is for. We don't want to modify our views, or models rather, to suit our views. Model classes, as it says, should represent the domain, not the user interface. One solution would be to pass the information using ViewBag, all right, but passing a lot of it gets hard to manage, and it can be somewhat of a performance hit. So a solution to this, the author says here on page 10, is to use what's called the view model pattern. Here we create strongly typed classes optimized for our specific view scenario. They expose properties for the dynamic value and content needed by view templates. The controller classes can then populate and pass these to our view template to use. It enables type safety, compile time checking, IntelliSense, and it's a better way of doing things. So we're going to create two view models for use in the shopping controller. A shopping cart view model, which will hold the contents of the user's shopping cart, and the shopping cart remove view model, used to display confirmation information when the user removes something from their cart. So it says, let's create a view models folder at the root of the project. So although we could put these into views, although we could put these into models, it makes more sense to create a view models folder. So that's what we do here. At the root, of course, means right there, go to the name of the project, not the name of the solution, the name of the project. Right mouse click, choose add. This is not an ASP.NET folder. This is just a new folder. I shouldn't say just, but it's called view models. Next, we want to come over to that view models. Whoops, right mouse click, add, and we're adding a class, add class. And the class that we are adding is the shopping cart view model. All right, remember, this will hold the contents of the user's shopping cart. Now, it looks as though, looking on page 11, this is not a very big class. But still, I'll grab the code. Whoops, I don't want to grab it from there. I want to grab it from here. Now, when I put this in, chances are I'm going to get an error. Right there. Why? Because it needs the using MvcMusicStore.models, because we're working with view models. All right, so there's the first one. Then after we do that, so we just added the shopping cart view model class in our view models folder. It took two properties, a list of cart items, and a decimal value which will hold our cart total. There's no data annotations, I'll just keep them together. Let's right mouse click again, add a second class. That second class will be called shopping cart remove view model. There it is. It will have following 5 properties in it. A message. Remember, this is being used. We want to remove things from the cart, so that'll probably be some kind of a confirmation message. We'll have to update our cart total and our cart count, our item total, and then we'll have to get the ID of what it is we're about to delete. Again, once I put this in, looks like I'm not getting any errors here. Let's do a save all about that time and head back to our actor right here. Now, if you're following along, I'm on page 13 of the handout. All right. Okay, it looks like we want to create a shopping cart controller. Notice it has 3 main purposes. We want to be able to add items to a shopping cart, remove items, existing items from a shopping cart, and view items that are in a shopping cart. So it's got the create, it's got the read, and it's got the delete. No update in there, but technically you are updating when you're adding things to an existing shopping cart. So basically it's CRUD. It'll make use of the 3 classes we just created: the shopping cart view model, the shopping cart remove view model, and the shopping cart class. As with the store controller and store manager classes, we'll add a field to hold an instance of MvcStore entities. So we want to add a new shopping cart that's empty by using the controller template. Again, remember, this is back in the day of doing this at MvC3. So we're going to controller, add controller. We are told we want this to be an empty controller. Okay. So we wanted the CRUD, etc., but this will be our shopping cart controller. Here it is. It'll have an index method in it, or at least it should. The code for this is shown on pages 14, 15. Okay, so again, there's quite a bit of code here. And the author says, here's the complete shopping cart controller. The index and add controller actions should look familiar. The remove and cart summary controller functions handle 2 special cases, which will be discussed in just a minute. So I'm going to grab all of the code that's on pages 14 and 15, and I'm going to replace everything that's in here. Whoopsie. Well, it's giving me some errors, as I expected to do. And it says we need the using MvcMusicStore models. Boom. Once we put in this, many of our errors went away. All right. Here, we need to use the view models. So we had to add these 2 using statements, which made most of our errors go away. All right, we're getting an error for this store DB. Now that went away. That brings us up to page 16 of our handout. Again, a good time to go and do a save all. I find it interesting here that the author has not run the program once since we've done all this stuff. We'll next create a shopping cart index page that is strongly typed to the shopping cart view model and uses the list view template using the same method as before. So we want to go to our index, which is of course right at the beginning, right mouse click, and choose Add View. Which brings this up, index. All right, so we need a model here, so this has got to change to empty. And the model class, according to this, is supposed to be our shopping cart view model. Right there. We don't want to create it as a partial view. We want to use a layout, possibly want to reference the script libraries. Okay, I think that's everything. Okay, there was an error here. It says try to rebuild the project first. Well, we've done this. We've gone down this street before. So build, rebuild, or I could do a build just like I did. Once the green arrow comes back again, there it is. All right, it says the store DB does not exist. Hopefully that'll rectify itself in just a minute. Add view, same stuff we just did. Again, this will automatically be called index. We want this to be empty, but we want it to have a model. The model we want it to have, again, is the shopping cart view model, which is down at the bottom here. All right, click add. Try rebuilding the project. Well, isn't that what I just did? Build, rebuild solution. So we are getting this message here about this DB context. Sorry about that. I don't believe we want to add a field here. I don't think that's right. It's nothing to do with the database, although we can refresh that, but that shouldn't do anything with anything. But I did do a build, rebuild solution. It's giving me an error wherever I'm trying to use this store DB, and the fixes talk about doing that, but if that's not in here, I see no reason I should be using that. As far as setting up a variable for that, there is not one in here. So the author says, if I go on a little bit here, It's giving me the error there, but if I go on, it is the only index. Sometimes when this happens, I have to change this to MvcStore entities. I'm going to try that. It didn't work. Fantastic. And if I set it to application DB context, that doesn't work. This is an error that I keep getting. It says try to rebuild a project, but as you can see, I have rebuilt it quite a few times already. You've watched me do this before, but I'm going to come in here and say now it does look as though the error is in the shopping cart view model. So let's very quickly go back to the shopping cart view model. I basically copied that code in, so I can't imagine that that's where the error is. Okay, everything that's in here is what's shown on page 11. And the next one, which is shown here on page 12, the remove view models, message, cart total, cart count, item count, string decimal, int, those are all exactly correct. Namespace. Now, when I did this one, I had to use this. I don't think I needed the other one because it didn't show it, but let's just add it anyway. Alright, it says here we don't need it, but still getting this. The store DB does not exist in the current context. So it's not able to find that store DB. And store DB was, I believe, defined. Is that defined in here? No. Wouldn't be there. It's the account stuff. Wouldn't be there. Wouldn't be there. Notice I'm getting it here too. There it is. So this is defined in the store controller. I'm wondering, again, I'm kind of grasping at straws here. Dot controllers. Alright, I'm going to try adding that. Says that it's unnecessary, and it probably is. Okay, so let's do a save all. If I get the same error when I'm rebuilding here, then it's not doing a darn thing. And I am. The name does not exist. Well, I figured by adding the controllers right there, see, what it needs is it needs a reference to this, the store controller, because the store controller is where we're defining this. There's the namespace, MvcMusicStore.controllers, and I added that using statement. Getting the same 3 errors. Well, I'm going to try 2 things. First is I'm going to go out to Google. That was, of course, I did not. Well, this is from a different thing, but okay. Yeah. Yeah, it says that right there, the problem is a problem with caseness. But I didn't see where I had something like that in here. Let's double check. And then I'm going to store DB with a little store and a big DB. And when we look here, there it is. we need a way to be able, I wonder if we say MvcStore entities.storedb. Again, kind of grasping at straws. I understand that. Well, where was that defined again? That was defined in store controller. See, it's of type MvcStore entities. Store DB equals new MvcStore entities. So it's of that type. I don't think I'm actually even able to go in and type in, like, for example, store controller dot. I don't think that'll work. Notice then it doesn't understand this, and I don't think it's going to like this either. All right, I'll have to try to research this and get back in the next part of this presentation.